This is big breaking news. We have the federal government coming out and issuing an emergency warning. All right. And this is related to massive explosions that we've seen on U.S. critical infrastructure as well in the past 24 hours. These two stories are related, and something big is happening, and the federal government is warning of it. All right, they are warning that our critical infrastructure is at risk, and we are seeing two massive explosions on U.S. critical infrastructure in the past 24 hours that have caused power outages already. We've seen a power plant explosion, and we are also now seeing an explosion that could cause massive gas shortages on the East Coast. All right, so these things are spreading, and the federal government is warning that we need to get prepared, that critical infrastructure companies need to be prepared, and they need to get ready for what is coming next. And this is why I'm always saying you guys need to have your gas tanks filled up. Get your propane tanks filled up, your natural gas tanks filled up for your house, for your RV, for your grill, whatever. Get all these things filled up. Get your water tanks filled up. Get your gas tanks filled up. Your portable gas tanks. Get your car gas tanks filled up. Fill up your boat gas tank, whatever you have. Your RV, if that has its own gas tank. Get these things filled up now, because we could see more of these events. All right, they are accumulating. They are happening more and more frequently. All right, if you follow my channel, I cover these events, and it seems like it's happening all the time. And now the feds are coming out saying we are worried about this, and critical infrastructure is under threat. And in the past 24 hours, we've seen critical infrastructure have major explosions, causing power outages and now natural gas shortages as well. That's why I was saying fill up your propane tanks, fill up your natural gas tanks, your RV propane tanks, all this stuff. Get them filled up, because we could see shortages on the East Coast in the next couple weeks as they get this repaired, and there could be more attacks. That's what the government is warning of. All right, so this was a emergency warning issued by CISA. All right, this is the Cyber Security Infrastructure Security Agency. This is a federal government agency, and they are giving this emergency warning saying that critical infrastructure in the U.S. is under threat. And then we see a power plant and a natural gas pipeline, the main one that supplies natural gas to the East Coast, have a major explosion. All right, we're going to get to the details of all that in just a second, but I wanted to get to this emergency warning of what's going on. And globally as well, we have the Norwegian government is saying they've been hit by this same exact cyber attack that CISA is warning of. And they're saying that they're warning their top 20 critical infrastructure companies right now that they could undergo massive attacks right now too and be shut down. So this is huge that this is happening. Even this is going global. All right, this is a global event right now, and they're even coordinating with CISA. This article said the Norwegian government, because they have 12 different agencies shut down right now, 12 of their main agencies in Norwegian or in Norway are shut down right now. And we also have them warning that 20 of their top critical infrastructure things could go offline, and CISA is warning that U.S. infrastructure could go offline. And we have a U.S. power plant in one of the biggest U.S. cities exploding, and one of the biggest pipelines exploding as well, all in the past 48 hours. This has happened. So a lot of stuff's going on. And when are we going to see the big one? We could see the grid go down. There's been multiple grid collapse warnings and grid cyber attack warnings as well. So let's get into what CISA is warning of, and then we will dive into the details of this power plant explosion, because people are without power right now, and we could see natural gas shortages as well. So you can see here, you kind of have to dig into this, okay? But this is from CISA's own website. I'll show the article here. Threat actors exploiting the Citrix to implant web shell. All right, so this is a net spreader or a net scaler, sorry about that, that they are exploiting, and it's the Citrix net scaler. And what this is essentially is it's part of their internal servers for companies. So it's almost like your router, all right, your Wi-Fi router, all right, that puts out the signal for you. It's almost like that being hacked, okay? But it's internally for a company, all right? So it's called a NetScaler. That's basically what it is. And they're able to essentially hack internal companies' Wi-Fi, every company that has this NetScaler from Citrix. And they're saying that this is normally used in critical infrastructure companies because they use it to communicate with their other devices, all right? So say it's like a water dam or something along those lines. They use this technology to operate the dam, so they can use their computers to remotely operate their dam and have their internal servers and their internal communication. And they're able to get into that. And they're saying that a company in the US, they didn't disclose the company, in June was already subject to this. Just last month was subject to this. That's what CISA is warning in this warning. And they're saying that there are thousands of critical infrastructure companies that use this NetScaler that are at risk right now. All right, so we need to be getting prepared. We're also seeing these major explosions happening as well. Is this related? All right, CISA comes out with this warning. They came out with this warning on July 20th. July 20th. And then we see all these explosions. We see the Norwegian government, all these hacks happening. All right, all over the world. In the past 48 hours, are these things related? All right, we are in potentially a cyber war scenario, and it's kind of going on in the background. All right, our critical infrastructure is being hit. Our countries hitting other countries' critical infrastructure as well, and we could see this ramp up to very catastrophic levels. All right, so that's what CISA is warning. They're warning that this could be exploited, and they're saying that it specifically targets critical infrastructure companies. All right, I'll put all the stuff on here on the warning, but I just wanted to simplify it for everyone because it's a lot of jargon in here in this warning. But that's essentially what's going on. And they disclosed an attack that happened in June 2023, and they're saying threat actors exploited this vulnerability as a 0-day to drop a web shell on a critical infrastructure organization's non-production environment NetScaler ADC appliance. The web shell enabled the actors to perform discovery on the victim's Active Directory and collect and exfiltrate AD data. The actors attempted to move laterally to a domain controller, but network segmentation controllers for the appliance blocked movement. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. They're trying to control the critical infrastructure, control pipelines, control power plants. So let's dive into the details of what's going on here. All right, we have a major pipeline that supplies almost all the natural gas to the east coast of the United States. I'll put up a little map here so you guys can see it. This is called the Columbia Gulf Transmission Gas Pipeline. All right, and this takes natural gas from the Gulf Coast up to the Northeast. And one of their main supply lines has exploded. Okay, this happened in Shenandoah County, Virginia. All right, so this is right on the border of West Virginia and Virginia. This happened right over there, and it has now shut down one of their main transmission pipelines going to the Northeast, going up into Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, even New York. This whole area could be affected. These states could be affected by shortages. All right, even possibly Ohio and West Virginia as well could be affected by these shortages from this major explosion. All right, because this is one of the main natural gas pipelines. Thankfully, it is not in winter where people need it for heat, but you could need this for cooking, all right, for your stove, or maybe your generator. Maybe you're off grid and you run off a propane generator. They have propane generators as well that you can hook up to giant propane tanks, and you can even get converters for your generator that are gas. You can get converters for them to run off propane, a lot of them. All right, not every generator, but a lot of them you can get converters for them as well if you already have a gas generator. So look into this stuff, get stocked up, fill up your tanks. All right, we also saw another explosion in Philadelphia, right in the same area, not that far from here. What is it, 4 or 5, 6 hours max, these two events. I'll map it up here. these events are not happening far from each other, and we are seeing major explosions within 24 hours. We also saw another explosion in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, right? Not too far from this, at one of their major power plants that are right in the middle of the city. This was at Brunot Island, right in the middle of Pittsburgh, right on the Ohio River. All right, coincidentally, it's on the Ohio River again. Somehow the Ohio River keeps getting hit from this area. It's insane. And speaking of the Ohio River really quick, they did tests on East Palestine. They just got tests back, and they're reporting major, like 100x levels of dioxins that are in the soil and in the water still to this day, 6 to 8 months later. I believe this happened in like February, I believe, if I remember off the top of my head correctly. I could be wrong, but whatever it is, going on 6 months, they still have 100x levels of dioxins in the soil and in the water. And locals, I was just reading about this the other day, locals are saying that they are even testing the water without disturbing it. Like if you put a stick in the water, disturb it, shake it up, you've seen those videos, it gets all murky, it gets all nasty, and it's still like that in a lot of places in Ohio, near East Palestine, all right? Right near the Ohio River, all right? So this is important, this is going on, and people were having power outages as well near Pittsburgh from this Brunot Island power plant explosion. So this is why it's critical to have a generator. You never know. You never know what could happen. And these things could potentially be cyber attacks. We have the federal government even warning that these cyber attacks are targeting critical infrastructure, and they are using this exploit to get into their internal systems and servers and essentially exploit their own stuff to manipulate their systems, all right? This could have happened at this power plant. They were saying that it was a special transformer that exploded that regulates levels of oil, okay? So this could have been manipulated as well. We don't know what exactly is going on. Even just pressure manipulation, it could have been manipulated to allow more pressure than it could handle, the compartment, the transformer, and it could have caused an explosion, okay? There's a lot of different scenarios where this could happen, and CISA itself is even warning it. So it's not just me, it's not just some guy on YouTube coming out here and making these predictions or something like that. This is the federal government, and we also have real life things going on right now, all right? We also have a county in Mississippi, I believe, let me double check here, that has been shut down as well. They're saying all their systems are down. Yeah, Mississippi's George County suffers major ransomware attack, takes critical systems offline. This just came out today as well. All right, so they're saying they suffered a brute force cyber attack from all angles, and it forced them to take their critical systems offline. This is happening locally to local governments all over the country. They are being attacked and being shut down, and a lot of them use the same programs. This could be dry runs, this could be testing to do a big one. All right, we could see cyber attacks on banks as well. We are already seeing major cyber attacks on hospitals. Tampa General Hospital, and I used to live in that area. All right, I love Florida, I love that area. They are experiencing cyber attacks as well, and certain sections of the hospital are shut down. All right, they can't have certain surgeries and things like this because of these cyber attacks. This is going on right now at one of the biggest hospitals in Florida right now. There's also been a major cyber attack that has impacted Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital as well. This is in St. Petersburg, Florida. So this is spreading, and I was reading an article, they were saying that these hospital cyber attacks should be declared regional disasters. They should be declared regional disasters because think about it, if people aren't able to go to a hospital and they're having an emergency situation, then this entire region is under an emergency, right? this entire region is in danger potentially, because now people have to travel double the length to get emergency care, and that could be life deciding, right? And also we have British ambulances. They are unable to access patient information records right now following a massive cyber attack. All right, and they're even saying this is related to this same kind of attack, this same attack. So I'm telling you, this is going to affect critical infrastructure all over the globe. And I'm worried we could see attacks on the grid, attacks on the energy supply, and attacks on the banking system, and attacks on the supply chain are going to really ramp up. We saw Applied Technologies, the biggest chip manufacturer in the world, out of Boston, Massachusetts. They had to shut down, and they lost $250 million from a major cyber attack. And they make chips that are critical to our modern economy and our technology. They're in everything. These chips are even in the cards you use. Your card that you use, your debit card, has a chip in it, and it has semiconductors in it that this company produces, and they were taken offline for almost a month, some of their manufacturing, and they were saying in the first quarter of this year it cost them over $250 million, $250 million it cost them over. So these things are happening. These attacks could ramp up, and we could see a big one. So please hit it up for me down there. I really appreciate that. It helps to get this video out. And some people are sitting in the dark from these situations, from power plants being exploded. Some people are not going to have natural gas in their locations. All right, I remember the Colonial Pipeline hack. This happened a few years ago, and I remember this very vividly. Okay, I was in North Rural Florida, and the Colonial Pipeline hack shut down the pipeline for, it was about 2 weeks, I believe. And I remember gas stations all over North Florida, rural gas stations, maybe not ones in big cities, but all the rural gas stations were out of gas, okay? And I had to call my family members down in South Florida and say, hey, what's going on? Do you guys have gas down there? Because I don't want to drive down there and not have gas to get back home, all right? So this could happen anywhere, and we could see a full-scale attack where multiple pipelines are shut down. The Columbia Pipeline, the Colonial Pipeline, all these different pipelines could be shut down at once, and it could go on for weeks, potentially. They allowed that to go on for almost 2 weeks, and it was bad. I'm telling you, it was bad in certain parts of Florida. You could not get gas for weeks, all right? And people were struggling. I could tell, because, you know, rural Florida, it's not like it's very luxurious, all right? A lot of people are struggling out there, and they couldn't afford to just drive an extra hour or whatever to go get gas. I really couldn't either, all right? So we were just staying home and trying not to go anywhere during this time. But I had a family event where I needed to go see my family, and thankfully they had gas down there near the city, closer to the ports, all right? So make sure you're stocked up. Make sure you have gas cans. Make sure you have water cans. Make sure your natural gas tanks are filled up. Your propane tanks are filled up. Even your grill propane tank. Fill it up, all right? If the power's out, that grill could save you. You could be cooking food on there for weeks if you're very conservative, all right? Potentially even a month or two if you're really conservative. Depends how big your gas tank is. Just with your little gas grill, all right? Learn how to build a fire. This is critical. I keep forgetting to say this. I keep wanting to say this in videos. Learn how to build a fire. Learn how to build a fire. Find kindling. Learn all the things you need to build a fire. Learn what kind of wood burns best in your area. Learn how to find the best looking wood for burning, okay? Some woods don't burn as easily as other woods, all right? Some woods are more wet and more fresh than other more dried out pieces of woods that are a lot lighter, okay? So you need to look into all these things. You need to figure out how to build a fire. Start it from scratch, even from flint, all right? Even just starting it from a lighter, trying to build a fire, okay? That's step one. You can do that, but try to do it with flint. That's the real challenge, like a survivor challenge over here. that show over here, they're doing the Flint challenge, right? Try to do this Flint challenge for yourself. Try to make a fire for yourself, because that could be the way you stay warm. That could be the way you cook your food. That's how people survived for tens of thousands of years, is things like stoves and ovens, wood stoves, all right? Not exactly a wood stove, but something along those lines have been around potentially forever, all right? That's what we've been using to heat ourselves and cook food. So figure out how to make fire, figure out how to cook food on it. That's a skill in itself. Have some kind of grate to cook on, some kind of surface that you can cook on, because you can't just really throw your pan on there unless you have cast iron. All right, then maybe you could throw it in there, throw it in the fire, but have the tools to cook on fire as well, because these skills could become critical one day. And I've talked about it before, there could be food shortages, there could be food scarcity as well one day, and you might be down to just foraging and hunting. All right, this could happen one day. You never know what could happen, and you just want to have these skills just in case. It's good to be prepared. And you could be down to foraging and hunting, and you might need to make a fire to cook your meat, right? Whatever you're eating or whatever you're making, you might need a fire, and you might need those skills one day. So brush up on all these skills. Even if you did it, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 5 years ago, a year ago, a month ago, just do it again. Get these skills under your belt. Make sure it's second nature to you. And I'm talking to myself too. I need to brush up on some of these survival skills as well, and make sure that I'm always sharp on them. Always sharp, everything. You need to be practicing everything, all right? So please hit it up for me down there to get this video out to more people. People need to know what's going on. There could be shortages on the East Coast. There could be more power plant explosions as well. And the federal government's even warning that these exploits are going to happen, and they are targeting critical infrastructure. So get prepared. Please hit it up for me down there. I really appreciate that. I'm truly blessed to have you guys watching, have you guys comment, all that good stuff. I'm really blessed, and I hope you guys have a big old blessed day.